Absolutely. I
I get it.
right. I talk to me about that. Talk to me about those chat restrictions. Right. No, I get it. I'm a free speech advocate, so I'm against chat control. I am completely against chat control. And that's passing, right? No, no, no. Chat control is passing the European Union Parliament, right? Wow, that's scary. Word, dog. Um, all right. Well, how long do you think that until the EU has chat control? You're good, big dog. Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not familiar. What's up? How are you? They could just be doing their thing, which is fine. Yes, sir. I see that. No issue. Yeah, I think you're right. 10 years, I think, is um, it'll probably be in the next 3 years, probably. Don't you think? Mm, exactly. Exactly. Dominate, dominate the media with it. Have some false flags. Yeah, all that stuff. Right. I get that. Well, okay. Well, how's the quitting of alcohol and drugs been? Absolutely. Well, whatever works, right? Certainly. Well, it happens. No big deal. Um, well, stay strong. I'm here if you ever need any support. I've been excellent. I appreciate it. So I've been up all night, so I'm gonna be getting into sleep. Um, feel free to stay as long as you want, but come in and give me updates. I love talking to you in this version of yourself. You're quite a nice person. Okay, excellent. Absolutely. Feel free to enjoy yourself in here. I'm going to be watching some podcasts, and if you need me, let me know. Okay. Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. I appreciate it. I I appreciate your kind words. I think I'm good and getting better every day. I will do so. Take care, Kat. Great to see you. Great to connect. Take care.
if you go forward 9 years from now, and then ask yourself, what's going to happen 10 years from now? I think it'll be quite gradual. One of the things that Elon said that makes me happy is he believes that we're going to get to a point where it's not necessary for people to work, and not meaning that you're going to have no purpose in life, but you'll have, in his words, universal high income, because so much revenue is generated by AI that it will take away this need for people to do things that they don't really enjoy doing just for money. And I think a lot of people have a problem with that because their entire identity and how they think of themselves and how they fit in the community is what they do. Like, this is Mike, he's an amazing mechanic, go to Mike, and Mike takes care of things. But there's going to come a point in time where AI is going to be able to do all those things much better than people do. And people will just be able to receive money. But then what does Mike do? Mike is, really loves being the best mechanic around. What does the guy who, codes, what does he do when AI can code infinitely faster with zero errors? Like, what happens with all those people? And that is where it gets weird. It's like, because we've sort of wrapped our identity as human beings around what we do for a living. When you meet someone, one of the first things you meet somebody at a party, hi, Joe, what's your name? Mike, what do you do, Mike? And, Mike's like, oh, I'm a lawyer. Oh, what kind of law? And you have a conversation, when Mike's like, I get money from the government and I play video games. It gets weird. And I think the concept sounds great until you take into account human nature. And human nature is that we like to have puzzles to solve, things to do, and an identity that's wrapped around our idea that we're very good at this thing that we do for a living. Yeah, I think, let's see. Let me start with the more mundane. Okay, I'll work backwards. So, one of the predictions from Jeff Hinton, who started the whole deep learning phenomenon, deep learning technology trend, and incredible researcher, professor at University of Toronto. He discovered the idea of backpropagation, which allows the neural network to learn. And as you know, for the audience, software historically was humans applying first principles in our thinking to describe an algorithm that is then codified, just like a recipe that's codified in software. It looks just like a recipe. How to cook something looks exactly the same, just in a slightly different language. They call it Python or C or C++, whatever it is. In the case of deep learning, this invention of artificial intelligence, we put a structure of a whole bunch of neural networks and a whole bunch of math units, and we make this large structure. It's like a switchboard of little mathematical units, and we connect it all together. And we give it the input that the software would eventually receive, and we just let it randomly guess what the output is. And so we say, for example, the input could be a picture of a cat, and one of the outputs of the switchboard is where the cat signal is supposed to show up. And all of the other signals, the other one's a dog, the other one's an elephant, the other one's a tiger, and all of the other signals are supposed to be zero when I show it a cat. And the one that is a cat should be 1. And I show it a cat through this big, huge network of switchboards and math units. And they're just doing multiply and adds, multiplies and adds. Okay. And this switchboard is gigantic. The more information you're going to give it, the bigger this switchboard has to be. And what Jeff Hinton discovered was a way for you to guess that put the cat signal in, put the cat image in, and that cat image, could be a million numbers. Because it's a megapixel image, for example, and it's just a whole bunch of numbers, and somehow from those numbers, it has to light up the cat signal. Okay, that's the bottom line. And if the first time you do it, it just comes up with garbage. And so it says the right answer is cat. And so you need to increase the signal and decrease all of the other, and back propagates the outcome through the entire network. And then you show it another, now it's an image of a dog. And it guesses it, takes a swing at it, and it comes up with a bunch of garbage. And you say, no. The answer is this is a dog. I want you to produce dog. And all of the other other outputs have to be 0. And I want to back propagate that. And just do it over and over and over again. It's just like showing a kid, this is an apple, this is a dog, this is a cat. And you just keep showing it to them until they eventually get it. Okay, well anyways, that big invention is deep learning. That's the foundation of artificial intelligence. A piece of software that learns from examples. That's basically machine learning, a machine that learns. And so one of the big first applications was image recognition, and one of the most important image recognition applications is radiology. And so he predicted about 5 years ago that in 5 years' time, the world won't need any radiologists because AI would have swept the whole field. Well, it turns out AI has swept the whole field. That is completely true. Today, just about every radiologist is using AI in some way. And what's ironic, though, what's interesting, is that the number of radiologists has actually grown. And so the question is why? That's kind of interesting, right? And so the prediction was, in fact, that 30 million radiologists will be wiped out. But as it turns out, we needed more. And the reason for that is because the purpose of a radiologist is to diagnose disease, not to study the image. The image study is simply a task in service of diagnosing the disease. And so now, the fact that you could study the images more quickly and more precisely without ever making a mistake and never gets tired. You could study more images. You could study it in 3D form instead of 2D because, the AI doesn't care whether it studies images in 3D or 2D. You could study it in 4D. And so now you can study images in a way that radiologists can't easily do, and you can study a lot more of it. And so the number of tests that people are able to do increases. And because they're able to serve more patients, the hospital does better. They have more clients, more patients. As a result, they have better economics. When they have better economics, they hire more radiologists because their purpose is not to study the images. Their purpose is to diagnose disease. And so the question is, what I'm leading up to is ultimately, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of the lawyer? And has the purpose changed? What is the purpose? One of the examples that I gave is, for example, if my car became self-driving, will all chauffeurs be out of jobs? The answer probably is no. Because for some chauffeurs, for some people who are driving you, they could be protectors. Some people, they're part of the experience, part of the service. So when you get there, they can take care of things for you. And so for a lot of different reasons, not all chauffeurs would lose their jobs. Some chauffeurs would lose their jobs. And many chauffeurs would change their jobs. And the type of applications of autonomous vehicles will probably increase. The usage of the technology would then find new homes. So I think you have to go back to what is the purpose of a job. Like for example, if AI comes along, I actually don't believe I'm going to lose my job because my purpose isn't to. I have to look at a lot of documents and study a lot of emails and look at a diagrams, the question is, what is the job? And the purpose of somebody probably hasn't changed. A lawyer, for example, help people. That probably hasn't changed. Studying legal documents, generating documents is part of the job, not the job.
But do you think there are many jobs that AI will replace?
If your job is the task, if your job is the task,
Right. So automation.
if your job is the task,
That's a lot of people.
it could be a lot of people, but it'll probably generate. Like for example, let's say I'm super excited about the robots Elon's working on. It's still a few years away. When it happens, there's a whole new industry of technicians and people who have to manufacture the robots, right? And so that job never existed. And so you're going to have a whole industry of people taken care of. Like, for example, all the mechanics and all the people who are building things for cars, supercharging cars, that didn't exist before cars, and now we're going to have robots. You're going to have robot apparel, so a whole industry of, right, isn't that right? Because I want my robot to look different than your robot. And so you're going to have a whole, apparel industry for robots. You're going to have mechanics for robots, and you have, people who come and maintain your robots. No, you don't think so?
I think they're not all done by other robots.
Eventually, and then there'll be something else.
So you think ultimately people just adapt, except if you are the task, which is a large percentage of the workforce.
If your job is just to chop vegetables, Cuisinart's going to replace you.
Yeah. So people have to find meaning in other things.
Your job has to be more than the task.
What do you think about Elon's belief that this universal basic income thing will eventually become necessary? Many people think Andrew Yang, he was one of the first people to sort of sound that alarm during the 2020 election.
I guess both ideas probably won't exist at the same time, and as in life, things will probably be in the middle. One idea, of course, is that there'll be so much abundance of resource that nobody needs a job, and we'll all be wealthy. On the other hand, we're going to need universal basic income. Both ideas don't exist at the same time.
Right.
And so we're either going to be all wealthy, or we're going to be all.
How could everybody be wealthy though?
Well, because wealthy, not because you have a lot of dollars, wealthy because there's a lot of abundance. Like, for example, today, we are wealthy of information. This is a concept several thousand years ago, only a few people have. And so today we have wealth of a whole bunch of things, resources that historically, so we're going to have wealth of resources, things that we think are valuable today, that in the future are just not that valuable. And so because it's automated. And so I think the question maybe partly it's hard to answer, partly because it's hard to talk about infinity, and it's hard to talk about a long time from now. And the reason for that is because there's just too many scenarios to consider. But I think in the next several years, call it 5 to 10 years, there's several things that I believe in hope. And I say hope because I'm not sure. One of the things that I believe is that the technology divide will be substantially collapsed. And of course, the alternative viewpoint is that AI is going to increase the technology divide. Now, the reason why I believe AI is going to reduce the technology divide is because we have proof. The evidence is that AI is the easiest application in the world to use. ChatGPT has grown to almost 1 billion users, frankly, practically overnight. And if you're not exactly sure how to use it, everybody knows how to use ChatGPT, just say something to it. If you're not sure how to use ChatGPT, you ask ChatGPT how to use it. No tool in history has ever had this capability. A Cuisinart, if you don't know how to use it, you're kind of screwed. You're not walk up to it and say, how do you squeeze the mark? You're going to have to find somebody else. And so, but an AI will just tell you exactly how to do it. Anybody can do this. It'll speak to you in any language. And if it doesn't know your language, you'll speak it in that language, and it'll probably figure out that it doesn't completely understand your language. Go learns it instantly and comes back to talk to you. And so I think the technology divide has a real chance finally that you don't have to speak Python or C++ or Fortran. You can just speak human in whatever form of human you like. And so I think that has a real chance of closing the technology divide. Now, of course, the counter narrative would say that AI is only going to be available for the nations and the countries that have a vast amount of resources, because AI takes energy and AI takes a lot of GPUs and factories to be able to produce the AI. No doubt at the scale that we would like to do in the United States. But the fact of the matter is, your phone's going to run AI just fine, all by itself, in a few years. Today, it already does it fairly decently. And so the fact that every country, every nation, every society will have the benefit of very good AI. It might not be tomorrow's AI, it might be yesterday's AI, but yesterday's AI is freaking amazing. In 10 years' time, 9-year-old AI is going to be amazing. You don't need 10-year-old AI. You don't need frontier AI like we need frontier AI, because we want to be the world leader. But for every single country, everybody, I think the capability to elevate everybody's knowledge and capability and intelligence, that day is coming.
The Octagon isn't just in Las Vegas anymore. It's right in your hands with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Get ready, because when Dwabishvili and Jan face off again at UFC 323, every punch, every takedown, every finish, it all has the potential to pay off in real time. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get paid $200 in bonus bets. And hey, Missouri, the wait is over. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code Rogan. That's code Rogan to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-OPEN-Y or text OPEN-Y 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Good Hope Casino and Resort in Kansas. Has to per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimal odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
And also energy production, which is the real bottleneck when it comes to third world countries. That's right. Electricity, all the resources that we take for granted.
Almost everything is going to be energy constrained. And so if you take a look at one of the most important technology advances in history is this idea called Moore's Law. Moore's Law was started basically in my generation. And my generation is the generation of computers. I graduated in 1984, and that was basically at the very beginning of the PC revolution and the microprocessor. And every single year, it approximately doubled. And we describe it as every single year we doubled performance. But what it really means is that every single year, the cost of computing halved. And so the cost of computing in a course of 5 years reduced by a factor of 10. The amount of energy necessary to do computing, to do any task, reduced by a factor of 10. Every single 10 years, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, so on and so forth. And so each one of the clicks of Moore's Law, the amount of energy necessary to do any computing reduced. That's the reason why You have a laptop today. When back in 1984, it sat on the desk. You got to plug it in. It wasn't that fast, and it consumed a lot of power. Today, it is only a few watts. And so Moore's law is the fundamental technology trend that made it possible. What's going on in AI? The reason why NVIDIA is here is because we invented this new way of doing computing. We call it accelerated computing. We started it 33 years ago. It took us about 30 years to really made it a huge breakthrough. In that 30 years or so, we took computing, probably a factor of, let me just say, like last 10 years. The last 10 years, we improved the performance of computing by 100,000 times. Whoa. Imagine a car over the course of 10 years that became 100,000 times faster. Or at the same speed, 100,000 times cheaper. Or at the same speed, 100,000 times less energy. If your car did that, it doesn't need energy at all. What I'm trying to say is that in 10 years' time, the amount of energy necessary for artificial intelligence for most people will be minuscule, utterly minuscule. And so we'll have AI running on all kinds of things and all the time because it doesn't consume that much energy. And so if you're a nation that uses AI for, almost everything in your social fabric, of course you're going to need these AI factories. But for a lot of countries, I think you're going to have excellent AI, and you're not going to need as much energy. Everybody will be able to come along. That's my point.
So currently, that is a big bottleneck, correct? It's energy.
It is the bottleneck.
Yeah. Is this, so was it Google that is making nuclear power plants to operate one of its AI factories?
No, I haven't heard that, but I think in the next 7 years, I think you're going to see a whole bunch of small nuclear reactors.
And by small, like how big?
Hundreds of megawatts. Yeah.
Okay. And that these will be local to whatever specific company they have.
That's right. We'll all be power generators.
Whoa.
Just like you're, somebody smart. It probably is the smartest way to do it, right? And it takes the burden off. It takes the burden off the grid. It takes, and you can build as much as you need. And
the lawn care industry sold us toxins in a bag and left our yards more toxic than a bad relationship. Sunday helps you ditch the chemicals and feed your lawn the good stuff. Soybean proteins, iron, seaweed, molasses, ingredients that get your soil giggling and preserve bomb at the bottom part. Sunday uses clean ingredients and real science to grow your grass. This Black Friday, get 30% off and lock in your spring subscription. Sunday, a smarter, healthier yard. Get Sunday.com. Yeah, Sunday.com. Holidays get hectic fast. That's why I start with AirTasker, where you can get anything done. From decorating and cleaning to assembling furniture, wrapping gifts, or running last-minute errands, local taskers make them all happen. I just post my tasks, set my budget, and actually have time to enjoy the season. I even got someone to dress up as Santa for my dog's father. This year, my holidays look amazing without the stress. Download the AirTasker app or go to AirTasker.com. AirTasker, get anything done. Picture this, you're on a date. Confidence. Well, you're the truth. Most guns and hymns are just bad fancy. Not Selman's well, the functional breath pressure you swallow. Tiny tool action capsules. Nymphs on the outside, horsemeat seed oil inside. Clinically tested like the toughest of spinners.
This show is brought to you by MeUndies. MeUndies makes the best, most comfortable underwear, t-shirt, socks on the market, and all made with Moldol fabric. Shipping is always free in the U.S. and Canada, and you can save up to $8 a pair with the MeUndies subscription plan. You do that by going to MeUndies.com/Joey. That's MeUndies.com/Joey to get 20% off of your first order. The show is also brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron sends gourmet recipes and all of the fresh ingredients you need to make them right to your door. Our listeners get their first 2 meals for free. Just go to blueapron.com/Joey and start cooking incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. That's blueapron.com/Joey. And the show is brought to you by Onnit.com. Go to Onnit.com and use code word church to save 10% on all of the great optimization products like Alpha Brain, New Mood, Shroom Tech Immune, and Shroom Tech Sport.
Oh shit. You got me. I'm coming. Ain't no bad at all. Oh shit.
What's up? Oh, I'm sorry, I had the wrong top on.
No shit. No shit. You do the whole fucking patois off and
I
shit.
had it on.
Doesn't matter. It's Sunday night special edition. The church, you're gonna wake up Monday morning and they go, bam! There's a new motherfucking podcast with the rooster on. Oh. Oh shit. Get that joint out of the ashtray. Who gives a fuck? We'll get another one at 5. You know what I'm saying? Who gives a fuck? Burn that motherfucker down. You ain't going into that office straight. Put up with those fucking people talking about their weekend. I went floating. I don't give a fuck what you did. Did you eat somebody's ass? That's what it's all about, baby. Let's do this shit. Laughing kids? Are you fucking kidding me? If you got some fucking sleeping pills, take them now. You don't get no better than this. What's up, Lisa? I
had a great week. We never even talked about it. I went and got the suits. So I had some suits this weekend. Went to Paul had a party for the law school. It was a lot of fun.
A bunch of young fucking criminals and shit in law school. Eddie Bravo in the house. So, you joined John Chuck. Who was there? Who were the black belts for the big time? How many students did they have?
There were no black belts. It was just John Charlie Machado, Carlos Machado,
all up there.
In the beginning, it was all 5.
Up at that Tarzana.
No, actually, it was.
No, when you
the original one was Redondo Beach. That's where all the brothers were. And then they wanted to expand, so then they opened up the one here in Tarzana. But they all lived in Redondo, and they didn't want to drive. Can you imagine the 405 trying to make that 6 o'clock class? You live in Redondo Beach.
That's a fucking nightmare.
How long is that? That's going to take 2
hours at least. I was going to say 2.
Come on, you're trying to get from John. You're trying to get that 6 o'clock class, so. They didn't want to make the drive, but then they would take turns. But on Wednesdays, they would all show up to Tarzana. You know what I mean? And that's where I went when they were. I joined when they were making that trip to Tarzana on Wednesday. Oh, Wednesdays, like 50 people in class. They knew they were all going to show up. And then John Jock ended up, like everyone. Carlos went to Texas. Hodger. Actually quit jiu-jitsu for a little bit. I don't know what happened there, and then John Jock decided, hey, I'm just going to take that Tarzana school. I'm going to move out there. So he moved to the valley and took that shit. This is my shit. And Higgins stayed in Redondo. He kept that one. Carlos went to Texas. Johnny and Higgins were in Redondo for a while, and Johnny ended up opening up his own spot in Culver City for a while. And so at the end of the day, you can't have 5 chiefs in a school. You need your own school. Every black belt. Eventually, when it all comes down to it, you got to have your own school. You get your 5, your wife, and family.
What is the process of that? Like, I've always wondered when, because jiu-jitsu is kind of weird in that a student can just one day decide, I want to have a school, and it's like, do people tell you to do it? Like, how it's kind of weird to even talk about starting a school.
You got to really want it. Some people are good enough to teach black belts, but they have other careers. One of my black belts, Amir Alam, fighting EBI 6. He's a seismologist, and he was training with me while he got his degree at USC, and now he studies earthquakes. So he doesn't want to open up a law school.
So some people do it just for fun, but like it's the type of person to open up a school is someone who wants to do it. Well, and I understand. I almost understand that they want to do it full time, but it's weird. Like it would be like Joey opening up.
See, first off, I gotta give a lot of credit there. I gotta give anybody when they're a blue belt or a purple belt, you know what, pretty good. We're not going to school because if you think of see what's helped martial arts for the last 40 years, because it's
really easy to learn jiu-jitsu at a rapid pace online on Instagram. I learn a lot of stuff on Instagram. There's little videos and they loop. It's a perfect training tool for jiu-jitsu because the loop, that 15-second loop, you see a technique and you get to see it. You have to see it 15 to 20 times to ingrain it in your brain. There's so many things going on. You have 4 limbs. Every limb has a job. Your head has a job. Your hands have a job. And your legs, what are they all doing? No one's taking any time off from that. No limbs, and your head doesn't take time off ever. So when we're trying to learn a transition or setup, you got to keep track of what everybody's doing. And then, it's better to feel it too, so you feel like how hard you have to squeeze or whatever. But at the very beginning, if you want to steal a move off videos, you've got to remember what everyone's doing. You got to be able to teach it. So Instagram's beautiful for that because you get to see it over and over and over and over. You just sit there and watch. You don't have to keep pressing, play again. It's a beautiful thing for jiu-jitsu. It's huge for jiu-jitsu.
See, I don't think I was terrible at jiu-jitsu, and I was in class. If I tried to learn it online, I think I would have lasted a quarter of the time that I did, and I wouldn't have known anything because that's the whole thing. That it's jiu-jitsu was for me. It totally depended on the teacher. It was a totally different experience depending on the teacher. I learned more with certain teachers for certain reasons, and then there's a certain school has an online course, and I don't. To me. Unless I think you're advanced, I don't know how videos would do it. I think videos would be way too hard.
Well, let me clarify something. I'm not talking about Instagram and videos. That's an aid.
Right. Okay.
You can't do that and not have to go to school. You got to have a group of monsters that you're rolling. If you don't go to school, at least you're telling me you got 3 or 4 guys that you're rolling with 3 times a week. Then I'll take you seriously. If you're talking about jiu-jitsu in any kind of opinionated way, and you don't roll, right? I don't know. Not like you. I'm talking about like. So what I'm saying is, when I'm talking about benefiting from Instagram videos, I'm already assuming everybody knows. Yeah, you still got to train with a bunch of animals. That's just to help you.
If you totally said that to me, it would be right because I don't know.
All these big teachers now have online classes. It's amazing.
Yeah, but that's a supplement. You get made fun of if you claim to be a jiu-jitsu practitioner. You actually don't go to school and you just watch videos and practice on your sister or by yourself. Nobody would take anybody like that serious ever.
It's like the Karate Kid. The guy in the Karate Kid was trying to learn from a book, and he had to go to Mr. Miyagi to learn. And it's crazy how
you need both. It's like going to college. You need a teacher. You go online. You can read the books. You need college.
And I've spoken about this before, but and then when you make the next step to a teacher, the teacher, just even based on school to school or program to program or gi to no gi, there's like 10 or 20 different jujitsus. Every person's different.
Well, that's the art of it. That's the art of it. That everybody can apply a different style. Eddie's on bars completely different than Enzo's fucking on bars. And the result is the same. That's the art of it. My thing before was being a white belt walking into a school getting your black belt. They don't know what I'm going to go because it's a life of suffering over years. The internet has helped income from martial arts schools now. There's many ways that they can get videos, DVDs, and all stuff like that. But, just transition to a martial arts school is very hard. People are starting in basements, dance studio, the Taekwondo space. Then they back them up, and it's a fucking big move.
Well, Eddie, you started in, you were renting space from another gym.
Yeah, I was teaching jiu-jitsu at the initially with the Bomb Squad. That's where I started. Bomb Squad was at the Muay Thai Academy, and they wanted to start a jiu-jitsu program. They asked me as a brown belt if I wanted to, and I thought, this was before Abu Dhabi 2000. They wanted me to teach that. I was still a brown belt, and I turned it down. It was a waste of time. an American brown belt trying to teach jiu-jitsu in Los Angeles. I'm 32 years old with that. I'm a grown man. How am I going to ever make money? Brazilian black belts, legit ones fail. I've seen them fail. Very hard to make money with jiu-jitsu at that point. Now it's easier at that point. So, but then, I went to Abu Dhabi, like a year. Got my ass kicked at the end of the day by Leo Guerrero. Before that, I managed to try and Hoyle, who's a legend at the time of jiu-jitsu, undefeated in Abu Dhabi 3 years ago. All that shit. I tapped him. I was having a hard time writing for the man show. The most depressed I've ever been in my life. That's a crazy way to the whole thing. So, 2003 was this. I was fucking so depressed working on the man show. So depressed. I knew the show was going to get canceled. They were treating me like shit. You know that. And I'm 32. I was 32. And cushy job DJing at a strip club. Shit. I'm fucking ruined. That's what I thought. I'm fucking ruined. I fucked up. I knew that the first day. Like, oh my god, big fucking mistake. This show's gonna get canceled and I'm gonna be left with nothing. And getting the job, initially when Joe said, you're hired, Parlay did the movies, bro. That's what we thought. We actually thought, like, okay, well, the show's gonna be a hit. We got all these nuts in. That's what I thought. Day one, fuck. I didn't think that no more. Like, oh my god, big fucking mistake. Big mistake. And, I'm still training. That was right when I was training for Abu
That's a bomb squad on these streets. Well, the fact that I went there a few times.
Well,
That's 15, 16 dudes.
yeah, my first day, my first day at 18, but before that first day, I came back from job. I think I go to school. I think I could probably make a living. And Larry's the one who he's quit that job right now. Walk off that motherfucker. Set right now. Open up the fucking school. You could take that bomb squad job. You could take that. Remember they offered it to you. I'm like, I wonder if it's. He was, are you kidding? Are you kidding? You just fucking tapped that hole in the Gracie. Ask that motherfucker. And I did. He goes, hell yeah. You want a teacher? And I'm like, okay, because I turned that motherfucker down.
He said, I want to go in Abu Dhabi. Well, it's so funny. For a year, I would go to different places. And people were like trying to throw a jab at me. We didn't go to any problem. We didn't want to Abu Dhabi. We over here. You're like, it's like,
yeah, I was. That's the deep. All that shit. The intro of the DVD. There's a montage of shit. Dropped his plane. And there's just all this crazy things from my. And then one of the highlights is Leo Vieira fucking flipping me back and taking my back. Like, he fucked me up and flipped me and took my back. It was one of the most amazing moves. I put that shit in the intro of Mastering the Rubber Guard. Like, shut the fuck up, who cares? He kicked my ass, so what? It was awesome. He's a bad motherfucker. He did great. But anyways, so I ended up going back to the Bob Squad and seeing if the job, the offer was still available. I said, fuck yeah. So that first day, it was 2003, first Thursday in June. I just got on mine and said, fuck it, I'm over there. I'm going to start teaching at the Bob Squad. 18 people showed up. And from that point on, I knew that was my shit right there that day. It was like 18 people. Most of them were like outcasts from other schools, dudes that weren't really happy at the present school. And then some guy just wanted to be there for the first day, but it was still 18 motherfuckers right there. Instantly, bam. I was natural at running school, just instantly. I got these 18 motherfuckers. What do I got to do to make them not regret coming here? What do I got to do? Check this out. You guys are going to fucking line up. I knew what I had to do to make them not regret. Well, that's what I was trying to do. So it was really easy. I mean, the passion just came boom. And I had no fucking idea I was going to be teaching jiu-jitsu. I had no idea. I'm 32 teaching jiu-jitsu. That's the last fucking thing. I'm like, how would I ever be successful?
Why you doing this anymore? I gotta ask you something. Because I used to go anywhere you fucking buds on, rolling, tight shirt on, sweating up a storm and shit. You were a savage. Did you think that your jiu-jitsu were offering a different view of jiu-jitsu when you started teaching just in generality? See, I'm not here.
Well, back when I was a blue belt and purple belt, I was always a no-gi guy at John Machado. I was always a guy that was questioning the gi. It didn't just happen one day. I wasn't like this shtick that I thought of. I was always that guy. I was
day one, you know,
like, wait a minute, no. I got into jiu-jitsu because of the UFC. That's what I wanted to see. I don't like nobody at the place is the only one with the gi. No one else wore the gi, and so I was just drawn to whatever was closer to MMA. That's what I was doing.
It's weird because I see a lot of people doing stand-up comedy schools. There's 20 fucking
That's funny. That's fucking
stand-up comedy schools.
Is that working?
People make a living. People make a living. In town, LA here.
Now, honestly, do you think that if you're to be a great iconic comic, would you recommend going to some kind of stand-up school, or would you say that a dude like Richard Pryor, they didn't need no school?
I got two views. I'm going to school for fundamentals. I want you to learn the fundamentals the first 2 months, you don't have to go back. So I'm from that school of thought. I don't want to throw you into the lines. Let me talk to you 3 times. Look, before I got on stage, I paid $33 for a stand-up comedy class. I wasn't going to pay $400 like most of those saps. 8 classes, graduated at the end with balloons and shit. That wasn't my bag. Got to bring 20 people. Meanwhile, some fucking halfwit. There was a guy in Denver that was doing it. But at the University of Colorado, they offered me $33 that one class for 3 Sundays from 1 to 5. And he gave you a worksheet, and at the end you had to do 3 minutes. And he'd pull you over after class and talk to you. Was he a good comic? He was a mediocre fucking comic. But whatever he did, he opened up my eyes and kept me coming back. That's what a great teacher does, is they keep you coming back.
Yeah, I'm looking at it a lot different now that I think about it.
Yes.
It could even Richard Pryor, if there would have been a really good mentor type teacher, it could have saved him a lot of time in the beginning.
Everybody could save time in the beginning.
Yeah.
You got to ask questions. You got to ask questions. If not, you go to a comic, he's receptive, he's alone, talk to him, buy him a sandwich, whatever. Get those questions. I work with a comic. It's like if I go to my first one, and it's in Albuquerque, and I go with 3 guys from 10 Planets. This is my first time. They're going to talk to me. They're going to talk to me. And, listen, don't put your hand on the mat. They're going to just say little things to me that I never even thought about. There's people that don't take that advice. There's people. I always wanted to do a stand-up comedy school. My problem is I got a different view of stand-up than most people. I know how to get good. There's only one way to get good. The way if I came to you and said, Eddie, I have this ball in my house and I spin around the fucking ball and all these homoplatas by myself and my wife, then I come to class, you know, once a week. How do I get good? Columbia said, listen, you have to be 5 minutes. I don't give a fuck what you got to do. I don't give a fuck if you wear the same things. I ain't gonna wrestle with you. But you gotta be your own fucking shit. Most people can't be with that. Because I could tell when the comics don't work out as soon as they ask you about money. It's like if I come into the school and go, hey, let me start training. Eddie, when do I get my black belt? I ain't gonna last. As soon as I ask you for a black belt, that motherfucker ain't gonna last. Same thing with stand-up. I can tell in our second conversation, as soon as you ask me about money. As soon as you said to me, when do I start making $10,000? Because you're doing it for the wrong reason. You're doing it to save you instead of to save yourself. That's the difference you see in people. So right away, I want to scare you. If I have a class and I have 20 people, the second day I'm going to have 14. Because I'm going to hit you that fucking hard. With what to expect. What to expect. This is what the fucking expect of you to do this. This isn't a fucking thing you do for 3 weeks and then give it up. You're going to dive into this. You're going to sleep in the house. You're going to get raped. If you're a girl or a guy, you pass on something. You know, it's a fucking life. The first 4 or 5 years. He's up and still dead.
Dedicate our learning and discuss all of our precious happiness and we have to bring them home. The shalom and the karov, and all of our soldiers will be successful. The whole maaseh yideihem. Don't say today's daf. It doesn't matter what today's daf is. Let's not get caught up in details. You know, don't lose the trees from the forest. We're going to be learning Sanhedrin today. That's right. We're going to be starting on Daf Ayin Aleph 71, and we're going to see in Mirz Hashem where the journey takes us. So we're picking up in Mirz Hashem on Ayin Aleph 71a. We're picking up about 12 lines up from the bottom. Bais Hamanuga. So Yomar says, Kiman Azlaha Desanya. In whose opinion? Whose opinion is reflected in the following statement? Bais Hamanuga lo hayav lo asid videos. So there was never such thing as a Bais Hamanuga. Bais Hamanuga means ultimately, again, a home that was afflicted by tzaras. So such a thing never happened. Such a thing never will happen. Whose opinion is this? So, verse, I'm sorry. Why is it written? If it's never going to happen, why is it written? Ultimately, in order to learn it and receive reward. Kiman Azla, who does this really reflect? Kabbalazar ben Shimon. Like Kabbalazar ben Shimon. Good, that's the halacha of the scientist. Kabbalazar ben Shimon says, the Olam in the Bais, Hamei Achir Kishtei Bis, and Achir Hamoni, Kishtei Sullen. The Karen's office. So again, in order to have Saras and Olam, listen, remember again, there's a whole topic of Saras in the house. Rashi Hakadosh points out that halacha in the Bais, it's not in the Roman knowledge of punishment as much as it was in Rafa. This Rashi points out before the Jews came into Eretz Yisrael, the indigenous nations hid treasures in the walls of their home, and the truth is the only way you know that those treasures were present with saras, because that was required when people stolen, and then one would see the treasure literally again that was buried behind. So again, Elazar Shimon says, but in order to have taras of the home, you need to satisfy so many different criteria. It has to be like 2 pieces. Measurement. Ashtei Avanim on 2 different stones. Ashtei Ksogin on 2 different walls. The Karen Zavis. So essentially, you have to be in a corner. Arko Kishnei Pieces, or Arko Kishkuris. You have to have a length of 2 pieces, a width of 1 piece. So my time is Rabbi Elazar. What's Rabbi Elazar Shimon's logic? Why does he say this? Siv Kir, or Siv Kiros. Because the pasuk says, talking about Zaras on the home, it says it appears on a wall, and then it says it appears on walls, plural. So you must say, here, Shuki Kiros. What ultimately again is a home? What is a wall that is like walls, plural? The Omer Zekar is others. This refers ultimately again to a corner. So Tanya Amar Elazar Tzadok.